Hey, beautiful people, and welcome back to another episode of Two Girls, One Doc.
One Doc.
It's your girl, BD.
It's your girl, Four Ends.
And we're back. This episode makes me so mad every time I hear about it. So,
yeah. Before we start, guys, my hay fever is so bad. So there'll be some sniffling. There might be a sneeze or two. You won't see the eye rubbing, but yeah, I'm
But that will be happening.
That will be happening. There'll be tears. I'm really in hell. But yeah.
Yeah. So, hold tight. Hold tight, boy. Hold tight.
Yeah.
But you guys, it's only a little sneeze or two. You'll be all right.
Listen, they're blessings, apparently. Sneezes are blessings, apparently. So
Wow, that's gas.
take yours.
This morning, guys, I know we haven't really been drinking because the times that we've been recording have just been mazza, and also normally when we're together we drink in it and we're excited of who's gonna bring what, and that hasn't been allowed to happen because of quarantine. So I'm drinking water this morning.
I'm drinking water too, and it's not Kirkland.
So there's nothing interesting.
But I did drink strawberry gin. It was Beefeater. I had strawberry gin on Saturday.
With what?
With just tonic water. For those of you who don't follow me on any socials, I've been doing a keto diet, and gin is the only drink I can drink basically that's alcoholic, because it's really, really low in carbs. So I've been drinking that. And I had just tonic water with it, and I put some fresh mint in it, and it was really, really nice. So yeah, that's kind of my new favourite drink, strawberry gin.
Yeah, mine's still Porn Star Martini, but yeah. Today we are doing Family Man, Family Murderer, an ID murder mystery, which talks about the story of Chris Watts, which any person who enjoys crime documentaries, I'm sure, knows about.
Yeah.
It's just, this story just makes me so mad. It just makes me very, very, very mad, because men are mad, and if this story doesn't prove it, then I don't know what else to tell you, honestly.
Yeah, literally. I didn't really like this documentary. I liked the subject matter, but I didn't like how the documentary narrated it.
Right.
But then, because it was very ID and it was very quick.
Yeah, exactly. It's ID. No, but I like the fact that it was quick, because it's just get out, less will be going on with our day.
Yeah.
Because when it comes to Netflix, and Netflix are doing an hour and a half, it's a problem. When it comes to 45 minutes, it's a problem.
I don't think it was just the length. I think it was more I don't know, because I know the case, there's a lot of stuff that they left out that I thought would have been good to know. But yeah, we'll just get into it and then discuss it there.
This documentary had a lot of footage, actual footage, so body cam footage, CCTV footage, interrogation footage. It had a lot of footage, and because this case is relatively recent, hasn't even been 2 years. It's clear, you can see. Do you know what I mean? But yeah, so the documentary opens up with us finding out that this woman called Nicole Atkinson, she's really worried about her friend Shanann. So everyone calls her Shanann. Her dad calls her Shannon.
Oh, really?
So,
I didn't hear that.
When her dad did the statement, he says Shannon. And I was like, that makes a lot more sense than Shanann. You know, Americans have their names. So I wasn't sure. But anyway, she's worried about her friend Shanann Watts, because she hasn't been able to get in touch with her. And I feel like this Nicole, not the other Nicole that we'll meet later, this Nicole is the MVP, because and also it shows that I feel you have to be that friend that has decent replies, because I have got friends, shout out Magdalene, that if this girl doesn't reply to me in 4 days, I won't worry, because that's just how she is.
Yeah.
So if this girl went missing, it's peak. It's peak for Mags. But yeah, so Nicole's worried about her bestie. They worked in the same place. They did everything together, and she hadn't heard from her, so she was worried. Shanann, she's got lupus. She's 15 weeks pregnant. She's married to this guy called Chris Watts. They've been married for 6 years, and they've got 2 daughters. One's 4, one's 3. And also, Shanann is pregnant. So they've got a boy on the way. So it's your typical all-American family.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're Shanann's 34. So they're that youngish family, just building their family, living their best lives.
Literally just starting off, yeah.
Yeah, just starting off. It's weird, because it's just, anyway, this all happened in 2018, yeah? August 2018 is when Nicole, she doesn't hear from Shanann anymore, which is So one day she does, the next day she doesn't.
Yeah, which is why we think it's important in your life to just have one person that you speak to regularly. I don't talk to all my friends every day, but there's at least one person in my life that I know that I talk to like regularly. Because
I think as much as your siblings as well.
Yeah, as much as you're saying that, oh, like if I whatever, like if we hadn't spoken, like we don't talk every day. So I think you might pick up if it's been like 2-3 days, whereas like it's like the time has passed, if that makes sense.
Yes, this whole case, I think that the success of this case rested on the fact that like her friend Nicole was so on it, and also her husband was so trash. Yeah, well, no, I don't think it was nosy. I think it was concerned.
She's very inner.
Yeah, but I think it was right to be that way, and I think because of how close like the documentary like makes out that they are, like it just makes sense. But
yeah, I'll get to the bit where I was like, oh no, like I would have backed off. When we discuss that, I'll tell you. And this was, I was like, okay, so you must have an element of being nosy to still push. But then yeah, let's get there and then I'll tell you.
So it's August 2018. I think it's like the 13th or something, and then Nicole stops hearing from Shanann. And so she, in my opinion, is the friend that everybody needs, because she goes to Shanann's house and she's like banging on the door, which, to be honest, like, this is why it makes me think that it's more than just her being nosy or her being a good friend. Like, it's her having some kind of concern about her husband. Because if you, like, so for example, you're at home now with your family, if I didn't hear from you, my first thought would not be let me go to the house and bang them up because something must have happened.
This is what I mean.
Do you get what I mean?
Yeah.
So clearly there's like there's underlying things, and maybe this is also what you meant by the documentary missing out stuff, because there must have been other things. Anyway, we learn more, but yeah. So Nicole goes to Shanann's house and she bangs on the door. She's trying to get in the house. She doesn't get a response, so she calls Chris, who's the husband, and Chris is like, oh yeah, Shanann and the girls, they've gone out, so like, oh, there's nothing to worry about. But Nicole, does she leave it and be like, oh, they've gone out and go home? No, sorry. She doesn't. Yeah, because she's actually a real one. I think if they had gone out, it would have been like, sis, chill. But because of what we found out later, we're like, yes, Nicole was a real one.
But that's the bit where I was like, if like it was me and you were like, oh, like she's gone out, I would have been like, oh, okay, and just gone home. Maybe I'm not like a real one, but then you're right. One. There must be like underlying like issues with the husband that she thought about.
I think there were underlying issues, but also like it was like bait things, because it's like the car is here. You're a pregnant woman with 2 small girls. Where did you go without your car? In America. Do you know what I mean?
That's true.
Yeah, Nicole tells Chris that she's worried, and she's like, she's going to call the police. And Chris is like, no, don't worry about calling the police. I'm going to come home. But Nicole doesn't wait for Chris to come home, which again, maybe that's another thing. Like maybe you would have been like, let me just wait for Chris to come home.
Yeah.
But again, if she did do that, that would have delayed this whole process. But she calls the police and she wants like a wellness check or whatever. And we hear the phone call.
My name's Nicole, and I'm calling because I'm concerned about a friend of mine. She's not answering the door. She's not responding to text messages, phone calls, and there's no movement in the house whatsoever.
So then we see the actual body cam footage from the police, which doesn't end in anybody dying. We thank God for the first time ever. So they conduct a wellness check, and we can see Nicole basically explaining that her car is in the drive, her shoes are there. Like if they went out, this wouldn't be here. Like it doesn't add up. Things are weird. Blah blah blah. And it's like she's making valid points, and I do think that you would like deduce these things because you watch so much crime. Like there's no way you wouldn't be thinking, hold on a second, like why? Do you know what I mean? But yeah.
Yeah, I don't know how I process things, because if that was me and I came to a house and they were like, oh yeah, she's gone out, in my head I just like, oh okay, she probably got an Uber. I think it was off, and I might ask Chris more questions and be like, but her car's here. Like why would her car and stuff be here? I don't think my first thought would be, something's happened. But then I don't know, like I said, I think there's more to the story that they don't explore with the friend, and then we
I feel like the friend doesn't like Chris.
Even the whole thing of not waiting for the police to come,
for Chris to come,
that's a very sorry for Chris to come to call the police. That's very telling of what she thinks.
So it's okay. So say you get married now, and me and your husband, like, I guess we're cool because we both love you, but I don't really fuck with him like that, that changes the dynamic completely, because if something goes on, I clearly don't trust him. What's her name? Nicole doesn't trust Chris, clearly. Because if she did, I would be like, let me wait for my man to come back and then we can figure it out together, because
at least
something's clearly off. So I think that's more what it is.
I think, again, like the documentary should have kind of explored, because when I was watching it, I just kept thinking, well, thank God this woman is nosy and inner, but she is really nosy and inner. Like, that's what I was, that's literally what I was thinking.
To be honest, there are longer documentaries on this, but That's what we did. So yeah. So Chris comes back, and he lets them in, and it's like we actually see this happening. Like we see real time footage of this. So they find her bag. Nicole goes straight into the bag, like, her medicine's there, and I'm like, this is actually a friend, because remember we mentioned before she has lupus. So she goes in, she sees her medicine is in there, and her face like falls, like she literally like something bad has happened, because
like she wouldn't.
Why would she go out without her medicine, without her bag? It doesn't make sense. Like, and it's like if she had just run out to get something, she would have used the car. Do you know what I mean? Like it's just weird. So they continue searching through the house. They realise there's a bedsheet missing, which seems like nothing now, but becomes more important later. And then we see Chris walk up to we actually see it. Like Chris walks up to the officer with Shanann's wedding ring, saying, "Oh, she left it on the nightstand," as if like, "Oh, she must have left me." Yeah. Because, she left they're trying to plant this idea, but then she left you. She left all her clothes. She left all the kids' clothes. She left the car. So what did she like?
And literally, the documentary never explores this, but the family like has financial issues. So it's not even like you're rich and you can say, okay, maybe she set up a whole new life somewhere else and bought all this stuff. Like
she was working. She even came back from a work trip the day that she was missing.
Literally, they are actually like going through like a lot of financial difficulty. So if she was going to leave, she was taking her shit with her. Like she wasn't going to leave.
She was pawning that ring.
Yeah.
So we learn a little bit like a background about how they meet. They had mutual friends. Chris sent Shannon a Facebook request, and we see like, because Shannon's very like one of these Facebook people, but we see a video of her talking about their relationship and how much she loves him and blah blah blah. And it's so sad to watch, because it's like, rah, like you can really just be happy in life, and then one guy will just be your downfall. Like you'll just be happy, living your best life memories with the person, and then this is the person that's going to end up killing you or ruining your life or stealing your money or whatever it is that they're going to do.
Literally, I was watching... It's so crazy because I was watching Big Little Lies yesterday. I don't know if you watched it.
No, I have it on Sky.
Yeah, you should. And it's on... You can get it on Now TV as well. And I was watching season 2, and like basically her husband ruins her. Like he is her downfall. Like,
that's what I'm saying. It's so peak.
And
you don't know who it's going to be. Have you seen Lovebirds, the Issa Rae thing on Netflix?
Yeah, I started watching it, but then I stopped. It wasn't that great. I can't lie. Sorry.
I enjoyed it. I actually enjoyed it. But it's like the beginning is all like great and stuff, and then it goes 4 years later and it's like just gone to shit. And I'm just like, rah, like you could be living your best life with someone, and then like a few years later it's like just nonsense. Nothing is anything, man, and that's just what it is.
Literally.
So now we're back to the investigation, and we hear about what's his neighbour. His name is Nathan Trinistich.
Oh, I didn't write his neighbour down.
He claims to have CCTV footage that might help the investigation, right? And he has like CCTV.
Shout out to all the nosy people in this documentary, though, because if it wasn't for like nosy people, we would not be anywhere. Because I cannot imagine. Like I remember when our car got robbed. None of our neighbours came out to say anything. The police had to physically go and ask them, like, obviously, you're next door. Did you hear anything? Did you see anything? And they were like, no. But nobody ever came out to be like, oh, like, do you know what I mean? Like,
but no, it makes sense. But the thing I hate about the whole neighbour CCTV thing is, like, in Dead to Me.
Yeah.
The Karen. Then I'm like, oh, fuck's sake. But
yeah, literally.
Yeah, it is. This Nathan guy, like, he actually also is a key player, like an MVP.
Yeah, literally.
The cameras outside of his house face the Watts' house, right? And they all go to his house. So I don't know why Chris is also... I mean, I guess he's not a suspect at this point, but...
Yeah, he's just trying to find his wife.
Yeah, Nathan... But that's what I'm saying. He must have been... Anyway, Nathan, Chris and the police, they all go to his house and they look at the footage. And it's crazy because it's like the same day and we can see everything crystal clear. Yeah. And the CCTV basically shows Chris has parked his truck in the driveway, but he takes it out of the driveway and like backs it into the garage. And this is like 5 in the morning. And I probably should have mentioned this earlier, but there's like the main talking head. We get a few, but the main one is this woman called Diane Diamond. And she's the crime and justice reporter. And in this part, she comments on how like fidgety Chris is and how much he's moving watching this tape.
We see his body language change.
Watch his body language. He can't stop moving. His hands are up on top of his head.
He looks very agitated, and he starts waffling to explain the footage away because it kind of looks suspect. Like, to me, it looks like someone is dead. And so in order to get that dead body out the house, he has to he can't carry the body into the driveway. So he has to drive it from the driveway, back it into the garage, put the body in the boot, and then drive off. That's what it looks like.
Yeah, that's
right?
what it looks like. But then I also feel like that's because of what we know of the case. Watching that, I more thought, so to play devil's advocate, when I saw him getting fidgety and all of that, I basically thought it was more like he was nervous to see what could have happened to his wife and kids. Do you know what I mean?
Oh, I did not get that.
No. Not that. It's tough. I can't explain it. But if, for the police first watching him, they may have thought that basically that's what my kind of whatever would be. Because if, God forbid, something happened to anyone in my family and someone's like, oh my gosh, I've got CCTV camera, like,
yeah, you might be like, this is the moment that I
and then you get nervous and agitated,
and it's because we know what happened that we're thinking this is why he is. But either way, I think that the point that they were trying to make was his body language changed for whatever reason. It changed. 100%. And Diane says,
the bottom line to this surveillance video, there's no definitive answers about what happened to Shanann and the girls.
Like, it doesn't prove innocence or guilt. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, because you never actually see what he's loading into the truck, or
if he loads anything, we just see that he backs it into the garage. Now we are looking at them looking at the tape, right? So now after they've watched the tape, Chris leaves the house, and this is all on the body cam footage. But the neighbor kind of hangs back and says to the police officer, he's not acting right at all. Like, Nathan is suspicious. And again, as a neighbor, this just makes me think like there must have been things that you have seen. Because you don't just automatically assume, oh, this person did something. Unless you've had a funny feeling about the person to begin with. You've seen things that can indicate that, this marriage ain't quite right. Do you know what I mean? So, Nathan's suspicious, again, for the same reason. Because his body language changed so much. We learned that Shanann is one of these post everything on Facebook babes, who, they're actually the worst, but...
But this played in
but
her
thank
favor.
God that exactly. So like we said before, like they come across like the typical perfect family. Like she posted when she told Chris about the fact that she was pregnant with the baby that she was pregnant with, and like Chris, he doesn't really seem that happy about the kid. But then also I think it's a thing where like he just isn't one of these people who likes to be on camera all the time, and I honestly think that's fair enough. Like I have friends, or like, I know people that if I get out my camera and I'm vlogging, like, I'm not going to put them in the vlog because they're not comfortable. Do you know what I mean? Or their demeanour changed, or they're just not happy. So it could have just been, like, I just don't want this camera in my face. Why are you recording the fact that you're telling me that we're pregnant? Like, that shit is weird. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. Not even that you're recording it for your memories. You're recording it to post to other people. Like, it's so fucking weird to me.
Well, I've seen a lot of, like, bloggers, and that's the vibe I get from her. She's very, like... blogger. They never said she had a YouTube, but but
it's because it's Facebook. I feel like if she had been like 5 years younger, it would have been a YouTube channel.
Yeah, I don't know if I get the impression that she actually may have had a YouTube channel, but I don't know. But either way, she's kind of like that blogger vibe, and I see a lot of them do that. It's kind of very normal.
Chris just looks so uncomfortable, and I'm not excusing anything that he's done or that he does, but he just looks so uncomfortable. So I had to try and say to myself, like, he might not have done what he did because he didn't want the kid, because they start to say that we see these text messages between Shanann and someone basically saying that Chris didn't want another child, kind of like implying the cracks are beginning to show. So in the video, like the video can kind of be construed as, he doesn't want another kid, which is backed up by the text messages, but it can also be like he was just mad uncomfortable. Like, how do I react? There's a camera in my face. Do you get what I mean? That's the point.
100%. Yeah, like I definitely get what you mean, and that's why I think. Anyways, we'll discuss that a bit later. But yeah.
So we also find out that Shanann sees a credit card charge for dinner at a fancy restaurant, and she automatically thinks this guy's cheating because this bill is too much for one person.
It reminds me of that Whitney Houston song. The one where she's like, "I saw your credit card receipt."
Oh no, I don't remember the name of the song, but yeah,
you know what? Yeah,
it's crazy to me because like I feel like for me, if I see my man's if I see my man's thingy and I see like a bill for a high amount, I'm thinking, oh, maybe he went out with Mandem, or maybe he went out with one of his friends, or maybe he
his friend forgot his card, so he just covered him.
Or he was just treating someone, or my first thought is not, this nigga's cheating on me.
Yeah,
so this is what I mean.
It just shows you like whatever, something is not right there. Do you know what I mean? Yeah.
There were cracks, yeah. And so she confronts Chris and he lies just like a man. But she knows that Shanann is like, this man is cheating on me. So we find out that the day after Shanann and the girls have gone missing, the police have cadaver dogs at the house trying to sense like deadness, which is just so sad. And the investigation is moving like really, really quickly because this is the next day. Do you know what I mean? It hasn't even been 24 hours. And all of this is because of Nicole.
To be a white girl in America.
Honestly.
They take that shit so seriously.
Honestly, you will be found dead or alive.
They would have constructed a whole other narrative. Oh, maybe she ran away with her crack boyfriend and she's in a crack house. She'll show up.
She's doing drugs.
When she needs
she'll
money.
come back. Oh, did you say that she sneezed before? Yeah, well, that typically women who sneeze tend to just run away.
Take crack and run away. So, yes, definitely crack. This is a closed
The
case.
privilege.
Woo, that priv.
That priv be hitting. I do really think that, besides being a white woman, the pace of this investigation was determined by Nicole and her response to everything and her nosiness. So when they do this cadaver search, they find a bedsheet in the bin, and then remember before they said that the bedsheet was missing from the bed. They're like, oh, okay, bedsheet. So they're getting more suspicious of Chris Watts, and then we meet Thomas Thomas, who interviews Chris Watts, and I feel like I saw this interview. This is like my first introduction to the case, I think, was the interview.
Yeah, I saw this.
Yeah, he low-key wants to ask Chris, like, fam, did you kill him? But, like, he has to be tactful about it. Like, he can't just be like, bro, did you kill him?
Yeah.
So he asks, he's like, oh, did you get into an argument with Shanann, maybe? Or, which is, like, a leading question. It's like, why, yeah. Anyway, but Chris, he turns to the camera and he's just, like, kind of pleading for his family to come home. Like, he's basically pleading for his family to come home. Like,
Shanann, Bella, Celeste, if you're out there, just come back. Like, if somebody has her, just please bring her back. I need to see everybody. I need to see everybody again. This house is not complete without anybody here.
The words that he's saying make sense, but the delivery is like, okay.
Cold. It's like
cold.
Emotionless. It's like
the right words seemed to be coming out of his mouth. He seemed to be saying the right things, but the way he was saying it, I think, struck everyone as particularly cold, particularly emotionless.
But he did say to Thomas that he did have an argument with Shanann before she left.
Yeah, but he doesn't want to discuss it.
Yeah. Which is, I guess it's kind of fair enough, but I would never have said that. But yeah.
I wouldn't have answered. Like, am I mad? So Chris has a mistress. Her name is Nicole as well, right? So this isn't the main Nicole. This is not the best friend Nicole. That would have been scandalous, though. This is another Nicole. And she
can I just point out, she looks similar to Shanann. It's the same vibe.
Brunette, like, slim.
White. Yeah. So he has a type.
He has a type. She contacts the police basically saying who she is and the fact that she exists because she doesn't think anybody in his life knows that she exists, like not even a mate, like no one. And she's like, this might help the investigation.
Oh boy, does she help.
Yeah, and so she says that Chris told her he was getting divorced. That's why they were together. It's kind of, okay, well, you're leaving your wife soon, blah, blah, blah.
Not only does she say that he tells her that, like, there was this period where Shanann went away for like some days, and this is where those texts were happening. She went away for 5 weeks to stay with her family, and this is when those texts were happening, where like Chris was saying he didn't want the kid, the new baby,
and that's when she deeped the
No, she didn't deep it then. She deeped the receipt on the business trip. So the business trip was separate to the 5 weeks. The 5 weeks she went to stay with family and Chris didn't come with her. The business trip she went on with Nicole, the other Nicole, her best friend, was when she deeped the credit card receipt. So on this 5 week journey or trip she went away to that Chris didn't come with, Chris was with his girlfriend Nicole looking for apartments and basically planning a whole life.
A whole nother life,
They were gonna like split, or he was trying to like split custody of the girls, the ones the kids they did have already with Shanann, and then like kind of live with Nicole. So they were very much like building a life together.
They had plans that this was going to be their new life.
So he had a wife and a long-term girlfriend, kind of like, it's mad, yeah.
So now we see footage of his interrogation, and he does a polygraph test, lie detector test, whatever, and they tell him that he's failed. Now, I don't think lie detector tests are the be-all and end-all of any finding out the truth. Like, it is what it is, but I do think that they help in terms of mind games. So the police will say, oh, well, you failed this test. So, like, we know you're lying. You might as well just admit it.
Tell the
which
truth.
is also very jarring to me, because that is also what leads people into false confessions, which pisses me off to the highest degree. Honestly.
You can't do that. You can't play that shit with me. You can't play that shit with me, because if you did a lie detector test and you said to me I failed, okay, well, it's not really admissible in court, so, and what next? But for people who don't know, Yeah, exactly. He's just giving you lots of little tidbit there. But people who don't know, it can lead them to panic and then, like,
but not. I think even though it's not admissible in court, like somebody telling you, look, you are lying. Like this scientific test has told us that you are lying. You start thinking, shit. Like, oh, am I lying? Like, I think it's just the mind game.
The mind game, yeah.
But this guy's guilty, so it's fine. So we have this man, I didn't write down the names, but there's this man and this lady interrogating him. The man is like kind of just there for fashion, I think. The woman is not with the shits. Like, she has no time for Chris. Like, she reminds him, she was like, you know this truck that you were seen driving on the CCTV has GPS, right? Like, we can find out where you were. Like, why don't waste my time? Basically, is her whole vibe. Yeah. But Chris still isn't really saying anything. But then they do actually track where he is. It turns out he went to the oil field where he works. Cole, I don't know if we mentioned this. He works in an oil field.
Yeah. And it's odd because he usually goes to the office first and then to, like, his oil field. But this day he just went directly to the oil field.
Yeah. And at the oil field, they find another bed sheet which matches the one they found in the bin in his house, right? So this is technically it's all circumstantial. Like a bed sheet is a bed sheet is a bed sheet. Do you know what I mean? Like how many bed sheets are on one bed, kind of thing. Like, but I feel like the reason they sort of pile on all the stuff that they found is to make them think, look, you failed the lie detector test. We found this bed sheet. We found this, and you, because you're guilty and you know what you've done and you know what you used, you're like, oh shit, like I might as well just say what I did. But the lady interrogator is getting on to Chris about the fact that he hasn't cried, like not one time, like he hasn't shed a single tear.
Yeah.
And I personally, like, I don't think we should be able to dictate how somebody acts in a situation,
100%,
especially when we haven't experienced such situation. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't know if I would cry. Maybe I'd cry. Maybe you're likely to cry. Maybe the majority of people would cry, but some people wouldn't, and they still feel the way.
Something
do you know what
inside,
I mean? Yeah, it just might not be his sign of distress.
That's kind of what I didn't like about this case. I feel like a lot of it was built around, or a lot of leading to Chris was built around his reaction to the trauma. And it's
lack of reaction.
Cool. Yeah, it's cool in this case because that nigga guilty as fuck. He did that shit. But it's
a dangerous precedent.
It's a very dangerous. Like, it's like, have you seen that Amy Cooper thing that's going around on Twitter about like the white woman screaming in the like Central Park kind of thing? And it's like she makes the call to the police and she's like, a black guy is attacking me, and like her voice changes and she goes into like distress, but the guy is like literally like 10-20 feet away from her and she's screaming on the phone, like he's got his hands around her throat. And like one of the like a prosecutor commented and she was like, this is so crazy because there's so many cases that are built off around the 911 call, literally, and they sound just like this, meanwhile it was fake. Do you know what I mean? Like so yeah, that's the one thing I say I didn't like about this case. It worked this time, but there's so many innocent people who were in prison
who are affected by this.
Literally, they didn't react the way people expected them to react.
Yeah. It's very dangerous.
And even with the bedsheet, sorry to play devil's advocate, but even with the bedsheet as well, like if someone had killed them and kidnapped them, then it would be logical that they take the bedsheet. It doesn't then like mean that it was Chris. But yeah.
I mean, in this case, it does mean it was Chris because it was so very, like, it was just so, he didn't even try. Like,
he didn't try.
It's just lazy.
He could have actually gotten away with it, you know, but he didn't try.
I don't think he ever would have gotten away with it because that Nicole friend, even if you got away with it today, that Nicole friend, she never would have let it go. She never would have let it go. He wouldn't have gotten away with it forever. But he didn't even try. Like, I just think he kind of accepted his penance and he was like, yeah, it is what it is.
Yeah.
Because he really didn't try. Yeah. So then the interrogator lady, she shifts gears and she asks Chris, I didn't like this either, but she's like, you know what? Maybe Shanann did something to the kids and so you felt the need to do something about it. And, you know, maybe that's what happened. And it just didn't sit right with me because it's like, how can you feed him a story and you're trying to, like, villainize the victim here?
The victim,
like,
yeah.
It's crazy. So Chris is like, like, I want to talk to my dad before I say anything else. And he knows he's still on camera. So now he's trying to do up manipulation. And he starts saying, like, oh, I don't want to protect Shanann because she hurt the girls and she choked them both to death. And I lost it and I killed her. And it's like, okay, so where are the girls then? Where are the girls?
His dad doesn't say much. His dad is just like... Okay.
I don't think his dad even believes him, man. I think his dad is like, just wasting my time, man. I was out eating a burger and you're here coming to bring me to the police station to chat shit. Like, yeah. So now, trigger warning, we find out that Chris put his 2 baby girls in 2 separate oil tanks and he buried Shanann and his unborn child. They find this all,
Yeah.
and then
It's tough.
Anyway, they arrest him on suspicion of 3 counts of murder. So they don't believe that stupid story about Shanann killed the girls and I had to kill her. And this is legit the day after that interview where he was like pleading for their safe return, sans tears. It's literally the day after.
Literally.
Which was the day after she went missing, I think. It's like, this is
all this stuff happened so quickly.
It's happened so fast.
Speed of light, yeah.
Yeah, it happened so fast. And then the documentary, like, I didn't really delve too much deeply into this because it was just madness. But they now have to, like, retrieve the bodies. So he buried Shanann in a shallow grave. They had her and the unborn child, which they were going to name Nico. So they got Shanann and Nico, and then they had to take out the 2 girls from these oil tanks. Now, I don't know much about the oil field in that year, but from what I understand, there's these 2 massive tanks full of oil, and these 2 girls are just inside there, dead. And oil is not water. Do you know what I mean? So it's going to be quite a feat to remove them. And there were like so many different people were involved, and the guy was like, I just feel like no one was the same after that. It's like not only have you killed your wife and kids, your unborn child, you've now, like, because of your actions, all these other people have these memories that they didn't need to have.
Yeah, this trauma, yeah.
Yeah, this trauma that they did not need to experience. It's crazy to me. And it's like, this only happened in 2018. Like, August 2018, it hasn't even been 2 years yet.
Yeah,
like, it's crazy to me.
Yeah.
Yeah, so he was eventually charged with 5 counts of murder, which confused me because there was only 4 of them, including the unborn child.
Yeah.
But I don't know, maybe it was like premeditated, I don't know, whatever, but 5 counts of murder. He was charged with the unlawful termination of a pregnancy, and then you got 3 more counts for tampering with a deceased human body, which is crazy because the way they pile these counts on you,
in America, if they want to give it to you, they'll give it to you.
They will give it to you good and proper. So it's like, say Ferenz kills someone, and I help her move the body, then pow, charge for that. Like,
yeah. Yeah,
do you know what I mean?
They break down, especially if they want to get you, they will break down every little thing you did that was a criminal act and charge you for all of that.
And give you max sentence.
Yeah, you think, okay, it's just murder. So charge him with murder. But no, ma'am. They will charge you with murder. They'll charge you with this. It's crazy.
Accessory, moving a dead body.
We saw that in the Centoya Brown case as well. They charged her with like 4 different things when it was just one murder.
Yeah, it's true. They just wanted... In this case, I loved it because, it was great.
He ain't ever coming out.
He's sticking with his story about Shanann killing the girls, and then he agrees to plead guilty to all 3 murders if they take the death penalty off the table.
So it's like, you want to kill, but you don't want to die.
It's so annoying. It's so funny because I was having this conversation with my mum, and I was telling her basically like a roundup of what happens in the documentary. And then she was like, if these people want to kill, they should just start with themselves. And I was like,
fam, literally.
It's so true, because if you had just killed yourself... your kids and your wife would still be alive. But then again, it was the whole mistress thing and him wanting to have like his cake and eat it too. It's just very frustrating. So he pleads guilty, and then he gets 3 life sentences plus 86 years. So he's not going nowhere anytime soon.
He ain't never coming out.
He ain't never coming out. But then it also frustrated me because he pled guilty, but he pled guilty so he wouldn't be put on death row. It wasn't so much as him saying, I actually killed the girls and I killed Shanann. Like, it wasn't that.
So I wish like the ability for like people who did stuff like this to decide like to plead, and then like, I don't know how to explain it,
to get a plea deal.
Yeah, because I just feel like, how dare you take away... I don't really know where I stand on the whole death penalty thing, but I do know how I feel when I hear stuff like this, because I think, how dare you take away 3 people's lives, innocent people's lives. 2 of them are your children. For what? 3 of them are your children, so for what? And then suddenly, you're scared of the needle, so like, you get to live. Why do you get to live? Like, why? Like, I don't like that shit. I don't like it.
It's mad. But then I just feel like sometimes there's like, you've seen worse people like get off for doing things. So if they go to trial, there's a chance that this person will either get less time or not get any time. Because they will now plead insanity or whatever the lawyer's going to do. So sometimes it's just a case of, look, the taxman has to keep you alive for all this time. But like, at least you are going to jail. Do you know what I mean?
Also, I guess the truth of the matter is that the reason why this works sometimes is because sometimes they just need that final piece to like convict someone and they can't find it. So when the person says, okay, listen, I'll tell you this shit, or I'll tell you where the bodies are buried, as long then it plays out well.
Yeah. So now you think it's all over, what more could possibly happen? But no, now it's February the 18th, 2019, which literally was last year. Only last year. Like, it's actually scary to me how recent this all is.
Yeah,
like,
that was like literally when we were in Dam or something. Yeah.
It's crazy. And I think we had come back from Amsterdam by then. So it's 4 months after Chris is sentenced, and he decides that he's going to speak to the law enforcement agency. Like, we hear the conversation. Long story short, Chris says that his whole thing that night, what happened was he decided he's going to tell Shanann he doesn't want to be with her anymore when she gets home, and gets home as in from that business trip that she was on. So she gets home, they end up having sex, and they go to bed.
This is why men are mad. Can I just say this though? This is why men are actually insane, and like they scare me, because the likelihood is if a woman has decided that, yeah, she's going to end it with you, even if she's not telling you that night, she's definitely not throwing you some ass. But like, men can literally like sleep with you, do all of this stuff with you, and tomorrow they still, like, it's scary.
It's not the one, it's not, they're not connected. Like, it doesn't follow that I have sex with you, I love you. It doesn't, they're separate.
It's so weird.
They're separate to some people, so... Yeah, it was mad. Even the investigators were like, right, okay, mad. But later in the morning, he mans up and he tells her it's over. And she's kind of like, what the fuck? Like, we literally just had sex last night. Like, what are you on about? Yeah. And she's like, no, like, I knew there was somebody else. Like, I knew it. He tells her he doesn't love her anymore. And then it goes from 0 to 100 because he gets on top of her. Like, not in a sexual way this time, yeah? He's choking her. And she's like, get off me, like, you're never going to see your kids, And the way he explained it was like, he was choking her and he just couldn't let go. Like, he just couldn't let go. And then she was dead. Just like that. Like,
yeah.
Which is already, like, mad. And then we hear about the girls and it's like, okay, madder. So we find out that Bella, which was the 4-year-old, it was Bella and Cece. So Bella's the 4-year-old. And he turns around and he sees her at the door. And she had seen him kill Shanann and ask like, oh, what's wrong with mommy? What's wrong with mommy? And so Chris takes the dead wife in the car. So we were right. He backed it up, put the dead wife in the car. And his daughters are alive. At this point. He takes the dead wife in the car, the alive daughters, goes out to the oil fields, yeah. And in this part of the tape, yeah, that we see, it's like a reenactment, but then like a tape, so you hear the audio. He's really crying about how he doesn't want to talk about it. They were his kids. Like, he talks to them every day. And I was like, my brother, you killed them.
And again, like, killed them.
And so he takes the 3-year-old, Cece, and he smothers her with her blanket, okay? And the 4-year-old is watching, and it's like, oh, is the same thing going to happen to me? What?
Literally, at that point, whatever demon like has you on the grips, would you not snap out of it?
Surely like, they've let go.
Oh my gosh, what am I doing?
It's crazy. Because the thing is that, and what makes it so mad to me is that you killed the wife. Okay, I understand that sometimes people snap and you just couldn't let go and it's like, shit, I've come to my senses. That whole drive from your house to the oil field, you had the girls there and were you debating, am I going to kill them? Am I going to not? Am I going to kill them? Am I going to not? Like, you didn't have to kill them.
You didn't have to kill the girls. He didn't have to kill the girls.
You had already taken 2 lives, one being your unborn child, and you didn't have to kill them. And then even when you killed Cece, and then Bella's looking at you like, oh, is that going to happen to me? You didn't have to. Like, you
didn't have to do it, bro.
Like, he kills Bella, and then puts them in the oil tanks, and then buries Shanann.
Yeah.
I'm just like, there's a special place in hell.
For this man. And literally he says some things as well that are quite key. So he kind of says that he felt in the relationship he just went along with everything Shanann wanted to do.
Oh, we get into this as well. But
so we even get into the YouTube video and he's kind of like, like the video showing like all the stuff that he hated being in the videos, that he just felt like he'd kind of like lost himself, blah, 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 in the relationship. And then he also says that he took out his anger on Shanann on the girls when he was killing them. So, like, it was like he just, like, he was in a fit, like, he saw red. He was angry at Shanann, took that out on the girls, and, like, when he was murdering them. So, it's just this whole thing of, like, again, it's that theme of like when you said you were watching the videos and you could see that he wasn't really into it kind of thing. It's this thing of he probably just felt like he'd been doing so much shit.
He has to just go along with it.
Yeah, he has to just go along with it. And obviously in his mind, he'd found his soulmate in Nicole.
Yeah, and he was like, yeah, exactly. I
just need to get rid of this bitch and then move on to the next one.
Yeah, and like now the documentary's kind of drawing to an end, and then that Diane Diamond lady comes back, and she tells us that the name for men who do this is family annihilators. That's what they're known as. And she starts to give us some very unsurprising statistics, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Most of these family annihilators are in their 30s. They're white men. They are men who are passive in nature, who keep things in, and then all of a sudden, at some point, their pent-up rage explodes. This defines Chris Watts exactly.
And the passive in nature is very, very telling. Like literally just what Ferenc said, that they just kind of let things happen to them and they don't really say anything. They don't challenge their wives. They're scared of them maybe. They don't feel like their voice will be heard. They don't really say anything. And then one day, they go mad.
And I think that's quite, like, it's the same in most, like family annihilator cases that I've listened to as well. Like, they're just people who ordinarily are very, very calm. And then one day I definitely don't think Chris is I feel like if he was out, I don't think he would do it again. Like, say he had never gotten caught, I don't think he'd do it again. I do think that he had like a fit of rage and snapped.
I feel like if you've had that fit of rage one time, you can have a fit of rage again. I don't think he would go around killing random people, if that's what you mean. I don't think he'd go around killing random people.
Yeah.
But I do think that should he be in the same situation again, it could happen again. Especially if you didn't get caught the first time.
So that was Chris Watts.
That was Chris Watts. It just makes me so mad. Like just don't ever kill me. Just leave me. Like actually leave me. Like leave me.
Literally just leave me.
And this whole, he was trying to act like he was triggered by you'll never see your kids again. Okay, but can you see your kids again now? No, you can't because you fucking killed them.
Literally because you killed them. So I don't even think that's what triggered it. And he said there was even a bit where he said when he woke up that morning, it's kind of like he knew he was going to do it. Like, he said that, like, he just, in his mind, he just knew it was something that had to happen. And I think, again, it's that pent up anger.
No, but I think he knew that he had to leave her. I don't think he was planning to kill her.
I don't think he was planning to kill her, but I think there was a part of him that when he put his hands around her neck, he just knew that that's what he had to do. Like,
I don't know.
And again, it's that he
had to do it.
He didn't have to do it, obviously not, but I think he had made the decision in his head to do it, and he did it. Like,
I don't know. I think what happened was he was strangling her, and like all those years of anger, every footage of the Facebook film came back in his mind, and he just couldn't let go, and then she was dead. That one I would have been like, I wouldn't have forgiven him for that. That's still trash because it's like, okay, do you know what? You actually snapped. But had he at that point called the police and been like, I think I've killed my wife.
Yeah, that would have been better than what he went on to do.
And at least your kids would be alive to hate you.
Literally, the rest of the stuff that he went on to do, for me, just shows that it wasn't really just a fit of rage. Yeah, it was very premeditated and very selfish, because it was like, the way I think anyways is he just wanted to wipe out his family to start a new one.
So he could start again, yeah.
That's what I got from that. And maybe it wasn't the case in his head, but that's how it will always look, because you actually had that cooling off period and you still went ahead, drove however long it took you to those oil fields.
Yeah.
And then it's like, I find this shit even bit more scary, is that he was sleeping in that same house where he had murdered them in.
Empty,
do their ghosts not bother you? Like, can you not still hear your kids? Like it's that is, for you to be able to do that, you are heartless.
Yeah,
so, yeah.
It's definitely issues. But yeah, guys, I hope you have a great day after this. Watch a comedy or two, because this was dark as hell. It really was.
This was really, really dark.
But in the meantime, between time, you can find us on Instagram and Twitter at 2girls1doc. That's the number 2 and the number 1, and like Girls on Doc. I am on Instagram and Twitter at Miss Beady.
And I am on Instagram and Twitter, 4ends with 1_ for Twitter and 4ends with 2_ for Instagram.
I feel like your hay fever wasn't so bad, you know?
Yeah, it really was surprising me, but yeah, I'm definitely calling the hospital, like, after this.
What are we doing next, by the way?
What are we doing next? We haven't discussed it. Oh, it's going to be a surprise, guys. Ha 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 ha.
Is it? So what, in the trailer or?
Yeah.
We'll figure out what we're doing next and we'll play the trailer for you. Okay?
Yeah, okay.
All right, guys. Bye.
All right, bye.
the disgraced financier Jeffrey Epstein is dead.
Did he kill himself? Was he killed?
There was something happening here that was bigger than just Jeffrey Epstein.
He was known as this Gatsby-like figure of mystery.
He was stunningly rich. He had a $20 million house, his own private island in the Caribbean.
He has a nickname, the Pedophile Island.
In 2005, the Palm Beach Police Department received reports of young women going to and from his residence.
There was an ever-revolving door of girls.
Who else was underage?
All of them. Those girls brought other girls, too.
It's a train, and it goes on and on and on.
This case would put him in prison the rest of his life.
Have you ever solicited a minor for prostitution?
I'm going to invoke my Fifth Amendment right.
Somehow, his lawyers had worked out a deal with the U.S. Attorney's Office.
It was more evidence of the fact he was powerful and he could fix whatever thing came up.
This case was one of the worst failures of the criminal justice system.
There was no way that anybody could look at this and think this was okay.
There are enough survivors that refuse to give up.
I want justice.
He's dead, but he did not act alone. None of them have been held accountable.
Start digging into his life, pulling out this spider web of people.
This is the tip of a much bigger iceberg.
Take him down. Take everybody down.
The monsters are still out there.
You took our freedom, now we're gonna take yours.